Hi everyone, it's April 5, 2021. It's a day after a long Holy Week, so I hope you had a good rest. All right, let's discuss the US market. So, in my trade plan summary, actually, this is something that most people inside the Awesome10X inner circle gets to have. So, I prepare stocks that are actually interesting from a charting perspective, that I also second look on a fundamental perspective as well. So there are days wherein we do classic deep dives of companies. We actually already did a deep dive on RC Moto, just a few names that are very good companies that you could actually buy into the market. So tonight or today, I'll be showing to you what exactly are good buying entries, given that there are so many companies in the U.S. market. How do you actually pinpoint which companies you want to get into? So take note that this is as of April 5, 2021. So there might be price differences that could be cheaper or more expensive as days goes by. So from a sector perspective, you have to understand that we have always believed in telehealth. So you could actually also see in my twitter.com. So for those who are new here, please follow me on Trader. This is my Twitter handle. This is our Twitter handle. My Twitter is at Trader. And these days, I share that we do have our Discord channel. We'll open it up to the public in time. But so far, I want you to see the companies that are interesting from a secular trend point of view. So inside Awesome 10X, we always share to our clients, whether it be members or YouTube channel subscribers, that we are always of the belief in investing companies that have a secular trend. So example, if you believe in e-commerce, warehouse automation, and last mile delivery, a couple of stocks that should benefit on that theme would be your AGC, which is likely to be Grab, your SE, which is your C Limited, who owns Shopee, Garena, and CPay, C Money, B-Town, which is reportedly going to be Tokopedia and Gojek, Shop, which is Shopify, RAAC, which is Berkshire Grey, DHER, which is Delivery Hero, who also owns all of the 50 plus companies, including Food Panda. Basically, Delivery Hero handles all the food delivery. And then, of course, FUV, which is Deliverator. That would be RC Moto, handling last mile delivery solutions, whether you're a gig economy worker or just simply wanting to have a fun utility vehicle. Now, of course, we believe, as everyone does perhaps, about the full self-driving capabilities of our cars, whether it be robo-taxis or through a direct play on lidars, which has a huge application on, or a very huge role on your lidar. Now, on your robotics, on your cars. Take note though that lidars have hundreds of applications. Just because lidars are predominantly being used as sensors in many cars today, lidars are actually already being used in so many companies, such as your indoor farming ag tech as well, so that your companies like Raven, which is a farming equipment robot, can actually handle watching and tilling your land using lidar. So LiDAR is light detection and range. You could see that companies like Tesla, Volkswagen, General Motors, NIO, Xpeng, Aptiv, Baidu, 1211, 175, Wuling Motors, Ouster, with CGR, which is Innovis. These are just some of the companies, even your Qualcomms, your NVIDIA and Intel, are actually part of that secular trend. So I wanted you to, of course, just simply learn more and go to Awesome10X Global Investing so that you could understand who are these companies, who is App Harvest, who is Agrify, who's, let's say, Weed Maps, which is SSPK for your cannabis agritech. So I think like it's very important that most of you who actually buy companies are knowledgeable in depth about how good these companies are in the 5 to 10 year future, not just about the next 5 days or next 5 weeks. So of course, when it comes to e-commerce, there's a lot of Chinese oversold names these days that you might be actually taking a look at. For instance, your Alibabas, your Tencents, your JDs, and even the counterparts like Meituan, your Dada, your Pinduoduo, and of course your NIU, which is similar to your Chinese scooters that are really going to help the gig economy workers flourish because of this advent of e-commerce and last mile delivery. So these are just some companies that I happily did during the Holy Week. I did some infographics, and wanted to share, of course, that we've got Discord channels for our clients, which is really a good place to actually check which are the companies that are good exactly on pre-market hours. So we do a Discord voice on opening bell so that you can actually take part when I see it real time from the market and buy it with us or sell it with us. Now, a few things for those people who are new to Awesome 10X. This is just a sampler, an infographic. I made something like 10 things to do with your $10,000. So you can choose maybe 10 companies here or about 20 companies. Usually it's about 5% or 10% per position. Let's say you're going to choose a few companies in wearables, gamings, AR, VR, and haptics. A couple of names that would predominantly stay great in that space would be your Copen, your Vuzi, your Eman, your Microvision, your Microsoft, your Tobii eye tracking, your Immersion Corp, Discord, Google, Apple, Samsung, Roblox, Unity, Facebook, Xiaomi, those types of names. Yeah, Tencent. And of course, you want to actually add into your portfolio some remote work, cybersecurity, and telehealth. In that zone, in telehealth, there's a lot. Actually, there's Teladoc, there's Amwell, there's Hims and Hers. There's actually Good RX, which is going to help you for not just telehealth, but basically affordable prescription. Now, how about when you're interested to invest in AI, artificial intelligence? There's going to be Palantir and C3 AI, which are actually good companies right now that are in the cheap offerings. You've got biotech, such as Humacyte, Nautilus, Biotech, and Semaphore. These are just some names. There's actually a lot of names that you can invest upon. But I think that what's important in your understanding is not just the secular trends, but really understand in depth what is Array Technologies' role in sustainable energy? What does Enphase do? What does Canadian Solar do? What does First Solar do? EV Box, Next Era Energy, and so forth. So lastly, I do want almost all of my clients, whether clients or just an Awesome 10X member, to be aware that it's good to invest in food security, biodegradable plastics, and sustainable energy. It's good, it's profitable, and you're actually making a solution to the world's biggest problems, which is climate change and how we're going to feed 9 billion to 10 billion people in 30 years with one-third less land. So, or even one half of the world's resources actually already non-arable. So those are important things, whether you're investing in aero farms, grow generation, app harvest, hydro farm, agrify, even companies like Meat Tech, Raven Industries, Pure Cycle Technologies, Danimer Scientific. These are great companies that you want to actually understand as something that you want to do with your $10,000. So just wanted to invite everyone to actually pursue awesome10x.com as your ally for your investing global for your global investing journey. So you could get started now, and we've got plans like a month, 6 months, and even a year. So you have direct access, of course, to founders such as me and Anton, and summarize timely awesome 10x picks, such as the trade plans, your summary plans, and of course, a lot of classes for you to understand companies in depth, and of course, a 1 hour daily Zoom class. So we always give a free Friday class, so that just is telling you what our Zoom classes daily look like. A few things to understand. All right. So what exactly do charts today look like? So I'm going to show to you a few things. So you could see that a lot of the EVs have subsequently bounced from March 5 and March 30. That is what you see, a double bottom on NIO. Tesla actually registered a higher low. So we think that in the next couple of days or weeks, we are actually in a transitionary phase such that these lows will not be lower. We feel that after a huge drop of 46% on NIO, that the market has been stabilizing. So your NIO here about 36 below is actually more of a great opportunity to enter. You see TDOC here, which is similar to the prices since June, to actually be an opportunistic entry here about $182. You've got companies like genetic editing, example, CRISPR here about 119. A loss of about $10 after a 50% drop gives you a very good risk reward ratio. So at these couple of times, you are seeing even your satellite imaging like 5G. Notice the global star went from 40 cents to $3, had a 50% drop, actually more than 50%, even as low as 120. But as you could see, very strong arrows here suggest that we are bottoming out in the US market. And actually, you should be seeing strong rallies in the next couple of days or even months. So we think that, example, for Global Star, after falling from $3 all the way to about 120, that these levels about 130 is actually more of an opportunistic area to be entering into, even from a oversold standpoint. So you've really got, sorry, you've got about 10 to 20% very low downside versus maybe a 40 to 50% upside if you see 1.2 rallying back to about 1.8. Same case for satellite imaging like Gilat Satellite Networks. After dropping from $24 all the way to $10, you are seeing quite a substantial 70% move on the upside on these potential rally snapbacks. So overall, I've been checking a lot of charts. We are seeing a lot of resets, which is actually more of a buying opportunity. For instance, RC Moto, after rallying from 36 all the way back to 12, this is just the same price about this December. And then we have actual numbers that RC Moto have already a partnership reduction with Monroe and Associates. They also have more deliveries, 5,000 deliveries. And it is expected that the people are actually going to see more and more last mile deliverators, which is going to be useful for your gig economy, for the e-commerce secular trend. You've got HireCar actually doing well because they are helping people lease these FUVs, which is an easier way to finance your car, rent the car if you don't want to use it for a lifetime. Let's say you want to be a gig economy worker for, say, a month or 2 months. You don't need to shell out an entire FUV. You can just rent and hire car and then do your gig economy work, which is why it is not impossible to see that Fiverr and Upwork are doing so well as a secular trend platform. So this is, of course, an expansion of the product family of Deliverator and rapid responder of of FUV, prototypes of Cameo and Roadster. I think that more and more people like Mark Fronmeyer, and so we see a lot of opportunities in this sell-off in the market. And you see the forced selling last week of Arc Ego Fund, which forced Baidu falling almost about 50%. From as high as 350 back to about 180, we see that drop already oversold. And any drop, say 3 to 5% from 219 all the way to 210, should actually be more of an opportunity to buy, with a short-term rally perhaps about 250 to 270. So these are all big tech companies already, but Baidu Robotaxis is actually a good company reopening for the next couple of months. You've got reopening because Baidu, Tesla, all these robotaxis are gonna believe that we are gonna go back to work, and robotaxis, the automation for the next 10 years is really an interesting opportunity to take part upon. Baidu owns here Apollo taxis, which have been running in Beijing since January 2020, which is almost a year already, a year and 3 months. Now, you'll see that most companies had a successful reset. I call this more of a technical consolidation. So here about 220 for your Alibaba, even as it goes about 205, looks to me more as an oversold entry opportunity rather than selling anything. So I would argue that the US market, actually you'll see most of my slides, a lot of it, some are actually still being fixed, but I'm seeing more of a buying opportunity opportunistically in almost all stocks that I look at. I would like to see so yeah, I just wanted to share to everyone that it's a very strong U.S. market. I still think that the worst has probably been priced in with some companies, and therefore most of you might actually be better off to actually be investing in the US markets to get opportunistic 20 to 30% moves. Similarly, for those who are looking to follow me, you could see and you can also follow me here in etoro.com. So I opened an account in eToro. I also opened an Interactive Brokers. We share it. But eToro, you could see that it's very public. My portfolio is public. So you can just follow into these names if you're starting out your journey. Could see exactly what price I opened on your Baidu, exactly how much as a percentage of the account, and it's very open. So you could see Baidu, see Limited, eHang, and so forth. You could see also, well, I'm not sure if you could see my pending orders, but I have pending orders to buy companies such as Volkswagen, your Alibabas, your 1211. Your Alibaba and your 1211, your BYD aren't open because we have a holiday right now, Qingming Festival, and tomorrow it's a Happy Easter Monday. Sorry, yeah, something like that. Easter, but still an Easter holiday for Hong Kong. So they'll open April 7. Nonetheless, you could see that my bias is really about solar companies with Sunrun, Sini Solar. I want to have a position as well on more EVs, so 1211, 175, and more genomic sequencing like PacBio. So DOU is an esports play category, which I also want. So you'll notice that although I have 17 stocks already, I do think that there's more reason to be bullish rather than to be bearish. Either I could add up on these companies that I have, or simply put more companies that I think are still very oversold. So there are many opportunities that I'm seeing in the market, so suggesting to go long into the markets. What do you think of Apple? Which stock is good to replace it? Apple would be benefiting on the wearables. But if you want a stronger play, I would assume the reason that you invested in Apple is because wearables. I don't see a strong reason for Apple to outperform in the short term. I think that the opportunities on Apple, may it be 2022 to 2023, are already perhaps priced in. That's why you're seeing a sideways move on Apple stock. At the low, probably it's just gonna go to 110, but at the peak, also just stopping here about 133, or you're really stuck at about 10%, or simply like a bond. So if you're gonna position, I'd say that it really depends on your personal cup of tea, because that is a big company, big tech. I'd argue that would you be interested in, say, wearables? Because the biggest trend of Apple would be wearables, and Microsoft already partnered with Microvision. So Google already partnered with Kopin. Although there are plans for Apple to also introduce Apple Car, I think that the bigger play in the future is actually not on Apple, but really, I would still argue Tesla's better than Apple. But I don't know if you want to replace it with another big tech, or do you want to replace it with other smaller entities? Because smaller entities, I'd say Copen, even at $9, is still better, but it might not be a suitable replacement. I'm not sure if you. It really depends on client. But if wearables is the key, if wearables is what you want, I'd say other people would probably put some position on Copen. Skills looks like a good entry. I believe so. What are your thoughts? Skills we like since about 12 to 14. I do think that from a revenue margin standpoint, this gaming company does present some value. 44 down to about 1875. However, let me just reiterate that I think when it comes to SPACs, I think that there are more opportunities in other companies that are still in the $10 zone. So I'll give you a few ideas. Mark Forge, which is now trading at $10, looks to be an interesting company. If gaming is your cup of tea, I'd say, because you mentioned skills, I'd say that from a gaming standpoint, I'd prefer getting DouYu at $10 right now. How about Xiaomi? Xiaomi is just a wearable play. At about $25, I don't think that it's going to be a strong outperformer, but it should be fine. It's just going to be trading in a range. So this is just, it's not a strong company in my view. I gave a buy on Xiaomi at $9, rallied to 36, and then dropped, of course, now to 22, like most of the companies that had a pullback. But I don't think that this is the type of name that I'll get in a market correction, because I see more oversold names that are more attractive. I'll give you some ideas, but it might not be related to the sector. Some ideas that are interesting for me is, let's say, a $6 Wimi, which is holograms. It's a Chinese company. That's the relationship. They don't have a strong relationship with Xiaomi though. But when you think about augmented reality, maybe you might want, because Xiaomi, yes, will play a role on AR VR in wearables, just like Facebook will, just like your Apples and Microsoft will. But I think that the bigger move might happen on companies like IMMR, Immersion Corporation. It might also happen more on Wimi holograms. And the point is that, well, Copen is also another good name. These names might not be household names for many people, but if you think about it, I think like the metaverse, most people only know about Unity and Roblox, which are great companies I like as well, which are also awesome 10x buys. Nonetheless, it depends on the kind of person that you are. I am of an opinion that you could position some companies that are very small today. They are what I call the Charmanders that could become Charmeleons. Sorry, yeah, and then eventually a Charizard, or maybe not a Charizard, but equivalently, it's gonna be at least a 10x move in a decade. Any thoughts on Pinterest, Twitter, and Snapchat? Amongst the three, I prefer Twitter. I prefer Twitter because I think that valuation standpoint renders Twitter the cheapest of them versus their growth. Thank you for suggesting some ethical and sustainable companies. I would like to invest some. Yeah, I'm very much interested in aero farms at $10. There's a lot in the sustainable region. I'd say Origin, which is AACQ, Arches acquisition, will be also a great entry at $10. How about Etsy, and Kratos? I only know about Etsy, but at $200, I don't think it's cheap. Thoughts on C Limited? I like C Limited. We made a buy at about 215 all the way to about 195. We would have added more if it had to fall, say 180 or 170, but there was never an opportunity to go that low. With SE, I think in the short term you will see some resistances here about 240 to 250, but that would be short term. Long term, maybe people would continue to buy it on any dips, say 220. Some might sell it on rips, 240 to 250. Over some time, I do think that Etsy, while Etsy can go up further, I'm not of the view that Etsy will not go higher. I just think 200, 220 is more expensive. If I had the choice in e-commerce, I think Etsy is a little bit in the expensive side now. As for C Limited, this is a growth play on your gaming, your Garena, your Free Fire, and of course, a very strong growth on the entire Southeast Asian region. So if I'm gonna play, I'd rather have C Limited. Any prices at $200 would be an entry opportunity. Even 210 should be fine. I see it going to a 260 and back to 300 anytime soon. If the stock is listed dual, say US and Hong Kong, does it even make a difference? No, there's no difference. Usually, what typically happens is that US markets are always leading. Hong Kong is actually a laggard. So what you'll notice is that Tesla's really rallied, and then Hong Kong will just almost copy the move. So if you are slow, you tend to get a cheaper discount in Hong Kong simply because maybe in US it's already up 10%. But in Hong Kong, you get to buy it at 2% higher only. You get about 5 to 8% discount simply because Hong Kong is a laggard versus US, usually. So there is that tendency that US is a leading move, even on the same Chinese companies, because, well, majority of the liquidity is still in the US. So when you're buying, say, Chinese companies, you notice that Futu Rose, the brokerage firm, tells you that a lot of Chinese opened a lot of brokerage firms that accesses international stocks, not just Hong Kong stocks, not just Shanghai exchange stocks. So it tells you that the bigger move is in the US. Yeah. even if you're buying a Chinese company. Example, you're buying NIO, Xpeng. But there are some companies that are not listed in US and it's not available to foreigners. Example of that would be CATL, that would be only in Shanghai. So there are only companies that are listed in Shenzhen that aren't available in US, which makes it a little bit harder for a foreigner to gather into those companies, assuming they are of the belief in the battery play of CATL. So that's all. Thank you very much. I remind everyone that you should be aware of what you're buying. Never just listen to people. Solo Electromechanica is Canada's version of FUV and new. Before I prefer getting FUV. I prefer getting RC Moto amongst them. So if you like last mile delivery, I think new technology of China and RC Moto of US is better than Solo of Canada. But that's just me. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much, and hope that I see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.